What's good, big girls? We are live. Big dogs, what's going on? How we doing tonight? Monday night. Normally we'd have Monday Night Football. Football's gearing up and we're ready to do it. But this week I'm going to New York. We have a live draft going on Thursday. So my week's a little bit, helter-skelter, a little different than normal. So making sure I get my live in for the week on Monday. But I think moving forward into the NFL season, once that's here officially, start doing these on Tuesday, either afternoons or evenings. Let me know what you prefer of the two. If you'd rather have it in the afternoon, like in that 2 to 4 o'clock window, let's say, or if you'd rather have it Tuesday nights, like at 9:30 Eastern. So let me know that down below. And if you're with us, kicking it, glad you're here today. CeeDee Lamb got paid, man. CeeDee Lamb got the bag. And 4 years, $136 million, I believe it was. Or was it 138? Let's see. Let me check. Make sure here. Breaking news. If you didn't know, Jerry was going to cave. So this is kind of like a formality. We all knew he was going to get paid. Yeah, four years, $138 million, which 100 of it is guaranteed. So big contract for CeeDee Lamb. Wide receiver 1 in Dynasty for me. This doesn't really affect it, but good to see. If you do have CeeDee Lamb for redraft or for Dynasty. What's up, Wesley? Yo, we got DB in the building. What's good, everyone? DB, that's my dog right there. What pick you got in the live draft? You know, to tell you the truth, Tony, I'm not actually sure. I don't know that we've set the order yet, but I promise you that if I do know it right now, I'll check and I'll let you know. But we're going to be streaming the whole thing live, so make sure you're tapped in for that. It's going to be a movie, and it's going to be something to track the entire year. All the BDGE guys and the Snapback guys in a 12-team league together, so it's going to be chaos, and you already know who's going to win. I'm not going to put that out there, but you already know who's going to win that thing. We're coming. Tuesdays around like 6 p.m. would be amazing. Josh, I would agree. Unfortunately for me, there's just almost a 0% chance I could actually do that with the whole family and kids front right now. Okay, let's see. I traded A.J. Brown for Devontae Smith and 225 first. I mean, I don't even care. Like, this is one of those questions. Format doesn't matter. Lineup start 7, lineup start 50, best ball line. It doesn't matter. This is Devontae Smith by a country mile. That's honestly kind of crazy, man. I mean, I guess in one quarterback, like, I'm not going to say I still wouldn't have taken the Devontae Smith side, but like in one quarterback, the picks get a lot more devalued, especially if they project to be later. But that's criminal activity, Shane. Would love to hear your thoughts on Jamar and his contract situation, kind of sweating. Well, I mean, I get it, but I wouldn't personally. Like, since they have a different type of cap, like, problems with their owner not really having, the money not being fluid with him, like a lot of the other owners out there. So, like, T. Higgins is a totally different conversation. But Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow do whatever it takes to get them paid. I truly believe that. I don't think there's any way that Chase won't stay there. So, I get the sentiment, Wesley, but I think it's going to get done. I think it's just a matter of time. What's good, Sam? What's good? Got him at pick 4 because the 3 in front of me thought he was going to hold out. I mean, he was going to hold out, I bet. I believe that he really was, but Jerry he caves every time. Like the Zeke thing. Tell me a time. Go back and show me. And if you can, it's going to be so long ago. Like when Jerry let somebody really sweat it out and didn't cave. It's what he does. Dynasty question. That's what we're here for. I mean, I got you on anything you want, but literally anything you want, I'll answer it. But Dynasty questions are primary. 12-team, half PPR, Superflex. I'm a contending team, currently projected to finish 3rd. Okay. Starting 10 players. Trade JSN and Brian Thomas for Tyreek Hill. Done. I personally am in, like, if you're truly a contending team and this is going to make you go from like that 3rd position possibly into 2nd or 1st, or very much, if you're very, very much into like the contending window, I'm doing this pretty easily. I mean, I'm not going to act like it's not a little like it probably does. It doesn't feel great to send both of them because Brian Thomas, I mean, a lot of the reports around him are that he could end up being pretty good this year, but Tyreek Hill's just a difference maker, man. He's without that injury last year, he probably beats CeeDee Lamb realistically. Speaking of the thumbnail, for points last season. So I'm doing this in the lineup start 10 because he's such a hammer in that format. Even in half PPR, like what he is relative to replacement receivers is just stupid. And whether that's for 1 or 2 years, I'm taking that deal. CeeDee fell to me at the 105 last week. And was this a 1QB or Superflex, Grant? Should we sweat the Aiyuk trade to Pittsburgh? Like I don't actually think so. I think the Aiyuk thing is kind of intriguing because he's obviously not CeeDee Lamb. He's obviously not Jamar Chase. Like we get that, but I do think, I think he's a lot better of a receiver and a true alpha than people probably realize or want to give him credit for. And honestly, you look at the Frisco situation. Like look last year, if you just go like search targets overall in the NFL. I'll actually pull it up right now with you. So NFL target leaders 2023, right? So it's kind of it's like a double-edged sword. So his target volume overall relative to the entire NFL is really low for what you would consider a true alpha. But also the efficiency is ridiculous because you do have CMC, you got Kittle, Debo, and I really believe that's what makes Brock Purdy look so damn good in that offense. But if you take him to, let's say he goes to Pittsburgh, right? Like, not ideal as far as probably the change in scenery. But I do think that he's a guy that if you look at the targets last year, so like CeeDee was at 181, Adams was 175, Tyreek, while missing a game, 171, Garrett Wilson, 168. You got to scroll down a long ways to, I believe it was 104 for Brandon Aiyuk. So like I think that you probably look at an efficiency decrease. He won't be like as damn efficient on all of his targets like he was. But I think if you bumped him to, into this alpha range where I think realistically he's as good as Pittman and these guys in that 150, if he gets even to 140, 150 type of targets, which if you trade for him in your Pittsburgh, right, you're going to trade for him, whatever the draft capital is you have to send away, and then immediately pay him, he's about to get force-fed the football. So you give him all those targets. I actually think he could be better. So while I get like the change of scenery scariness, I wouldn't be sweating it personally. I would not be. Is trading away Debo for A.J. Brown straight up good value? It's Dynasty and we start 3 receivers. I mean, trading away Debo for A.J. Brown straight up, I mean, come on, man. Like, yeah, of course. It's definitely great value. Like, A.J. Brown over Debo in Dynasty by leaps and bounds. Like, I love having context for questions because most of them need context, or I think talking about the context, but this is just crazy. Debo for A.J. Brown is A.J. Brown straight up. I mean, that's great value. Past Walmart. You've been a great addition to the BDG channel. I appreciate it, Shane. Well, listen, man, I hope you feel that way. I know you do. And everyone else, whether you feel that way or not, I love you, and I'm not going anywhere, and there's nothing you can do about it because until they kick me out, they tell me the lights are off, I'm going to keep showing up. Have Tyreek, Rashi, Evans, Cup, Brian Thomas Jr., Ladd, and Wicks. I like that Wicks is now like, look at all those names. I like that Wicks is now, people really are putting him in that type of clout. Would you trade away any to upgrade? Would you trade away any to upgrade at quarterback? Oh, okay. Any of those receivers. Current quarterback room, Herbert and Baker. 12-team Superflex, start 8 Dynasty. Yes, I would definitely. Starting 8. So, like Alex, I talk about this a lot, and it's kind of just a simple way to think about it. In a Superflex league, let's even say it's like 4 point per passing touchdown with no extra bonuses. Even there, the quarterbacks are going to score more than the skill players in a standard PPR league, right? So if you think about Superflex, if you build around the quarterback position with 2, at least like, above average to high end QBs, let's call it like top 15 to top 12 types, you're going to have 2 big edges at the highest scoring positions, and probably warp difference makers are going to be reflective of this in Superflex. So there's only 6 skill players in a start 8 league to really try to catch up to having that big of an advantage if you have it at the quarterback in the Superflex spot. Basically, the bigger that number of start 8 is, you get to start 10. Now you have 8 skill players, which if you're better there, then you can start to catch up. Like, each one of those gives you a better opportunity to catch up to someone that has, a much higher quarterback ceiling than you, and then so on and so forth. When you get to like, I'm in a crazy league that I put together. People hate it, but I love it, where I think it's start I think it starts 16. It's something just ridiculous. And the quarterbacks actually in that format, because there's 14 skill players, their value comes significantly lower. So the point overall there is in a start 8 league, it's really shallow where 2 quarterbacks, of those, you only have 6 skill players. Yeah, absolutely. Like I would love to upgrade from Baker in this format, or like, will someone let me tier up from Herbert into the elite tier? That might be the cheaper way to go. So I 100% would. I'm not sure if you have any targets or people that are willing to move certain quarterbacks. I'd happily, talk through it with you and see if we can get an offer put out there. Bryant, what's going on, Bryant? Let's see what we got here. 12-man Superflex, full PPR, start 10. I'm stacked at receiver and quarterback. Is Henry, Cook, Connor, and Warren enough running backs, or should I upgrade? I mean, well, Henry, Cook. So it's Derrick Henry, James Cook, James Conner, Jalen Warren. I mean, I absolutely in a start 10 would like to have some better ones here. So should you upgrade? I mean, yes, but it also depends on the cost. Like I'm okay if this is what you start off with, but I think what I do in a scenario like this is make sure my roster construction is like built around this type of a room. What I mean by that is your bench should basically have a lot of running backs that are basically one injury or one traded player, one big move away from getting a very sizable workload increase, and now possibly are just someone that you put into your flex spot or into your running back 2 type slot. So I'd at least do that and make sure that you have some, seconds and thirds in your treasure trove to make sure you can send those picks for some of these running backs, which will eventually become the starter throughout the year. And while they don't feel like the best long-term investment for Dynasty, you can kind of fill a hole with this type of running back room. So I think that's the way I would go about it. Would I like to upgrade? Yes, of course. But it also depends on what the cost is. And I think right now, everyone's so focused on putting points in their lineups, it might not be the best time to really upgrade and do to try to go buy. There's only so many what people view as close to elite or elite running backs. So to go buy those now may be kind of hard. So I guess it depends on what the cost would be, Bryant. 1 quarterback, I have 6 first with a competitive roster. How many first do you generally want to take into the draft? Okay, so is this 2024? Have you not had your draft yet, Shane? But and also, is this a 12-team league? Because 6 first in any class, like if it's a 12-team league, you have 6 first. That's half of the draft. I personally like having a lot of draft picks in the first round, and I like to leverage them. But I also don't want to go into the draft. I actually did I had 2 teams one time, 2023. I had 2 different teams which had all 12 of the picks. And kind of since I had that scenario, it's extremely rare to actually have that. One of them, I intentionally just drafted all the players for the most part and let them be what they would be on my roster. And then the other ones, I leveraged the picks, and the results are completely different. The one league, the shit OG league, I won pretty easily, and then the other league I ended up getting 7th place. I did not make the playoffs. So I love having a bunch of picks, but I don't want to have to them. And even if I do, I want to make sure that I'm trading some of those rookies. Like you don't want to get stuck with an entire class if you don't have to, if there's a way around that. So is it also in 1 quarterback, it's a lot different than Superflex for me because the quarterbacks like in this class make the first round a lot more valuable. Okay. Drafted CeeDee at the 3 redraft and got clowned by the Chase owner. Okay. Now, where did Chase go in this one? I traded AD Mitchell T in a 25. Hold on. I traded Mitchell T in a 25 third for BA and a 25 second. I'm rebuilding, but felt like a nice move still because I had Josh Downs. I didn't want much draft capital in the Colts passing game. What do you think? So 80 Mitchell T and a 25 third. Brandon Aiyuk and a 25 second. See, like I'm cooling on T a little bit, but at the same time, like I think there's basically every time I go to redo my rankings, I kind of end up keeping him. I can't get him past this tier that I currently have him in because I still think when he moves on from Cincinnati or this year if he even stays healthy, he could be a lot better than people think. So like I definitely want Aiyuk over T, right? So if it was a cost of a second to go to Aiyuk, I think I could probably like handle that. That'd be palatable enough for me to do in most leagues as a tier up. But then like the AD Mitchell for the AD Mitchell in the third. I think I'm definitely with the side. Oh, I'm reading this backwards. You got Brandon Aiyuk in a second here. Yeah, I'm okay with this. I'm okay with this. I was thinking that it was a third on. I was thinking that you were sending the second and getting back a third. I misread that. So yeah, definitely, I'd be good with this. You get Brandon Aiyuk and then the second to kind of replace Mitchell. I'm fine with that. T in the third for Brandon Aiyuk. We're good. Definitely, I'm good with that. But I like Adonai Mitchell. I just think that Brandon Aiyuk is a clear upgrade. So it probably depends on the format too a little bit, but I'm good with it no matter what, I think. You don't think the Commanders will get him? I feel like Pittsburgh is out on Aiyuk now. I don't know that the Commanders are going to get him either. I don't know what's going to happen with Aiyuk. I'm not going to act like I know that for sure. It seems like Frisco wants to keep him, but is in a really fucked contract situation and like salary cap issues. So, and I also don't know that whatever they're asking for is going to ever get done. And if they're willing to go below that to make this move happen. So like Pittsburgh in general, while they do currently have the ability to do it because their quarterbacks are being paid nothing, it's very different than what Pittsburgh's been doing all of the whole Tomlin era for the most part. Like they don't normally pay receivers for very long, and they kind of keep drafting later round ones. This is basically sending away draft capital and then immediately probably on top of that paying him something pretty sizable. So, it could be the Commanders, but I think the Commanders might be one that scares me the most because I just don't know if the passing volume is going to really be there in that offense. Thoughts on a trade? Brandon Aiyuk for Deontay Johnson and a 25 first. I think this is probably like a little bit format dependent for me. If you're telling me this is a like start 11, start 12 type league, I could be on board with the Deontay in the first, that type of a tear down. But like for lineup start 9 and wide receivers are difference makers when I look at a warp chart. I'm not going down to Deontay in the first tier. So this one I think would probably depend on the format. So what's the format, Alex? How many starters you got? Superflex, and then is it lineup and how many starters? Who's the wide receiver 3 in Cleveland? Yeah, so Tony, actually, Zach Jackson is the athletic beat reporter here. He went to a high school that was like rivals with the school I went to, and I know him a little bit. He didn't give me a whole lot of information. He did put this out there in just a regular tweet as well, that he thinks that Tillman is going to be the wide receiver 3. Judy, obviously, after the trade, is going to be the 2 with Amari Cooper, and then they still believe in Tillman. But I also that's the answer. I don't know that it fucking matters, for at least for fantasy purposes. Like in a best ball league, I would definitely roster Tillman, but even in lineup, I might put him on a taxi squad if I still could keep him. I'm just not very. He's going to have to do a lot to make me buy in on that. Right now, I don't even know if Watson can support 2. So I just did that trade. I know how Jetta, CeeDee, and AJ Brown. Wait, I think you mean I know how Jetta, CeeDee, and AJ Brown. My running backs are Kenneth Walker and Kamara with Montgomery as the backup. Should I use players like Pittman and Terry to upgrade running back? Dynasty with 2 flexes. Josh, let me see. Did you put what's the trade? I guess you're not really so the trade you didn't put in there, but you're saying currently you have a wide receiver room of Jefferson, CeeDee, and AJ Brown. Okay. That's really tough. That's nasty. Walker and Kamara, and then Montgomery's a backup. Should I use players like Pittman and Terry to upgrade? You got 2 flexes. Like I have no problem putting Pittman. I love putting Pittman as my wide receiver 4 in the flex spot. If you wanted to try with Terry, sure. I just don't know that he's going to. If you could do it, yes, I would be willing to do it probably with Terry. But I guess realistically, like what are the running back targets you're talking about here? And then like what's it probably going to take to get it done? And then also, I think the big question I would have that I don't have here, Josh, is what's your draft capital look like, and are you trying to use draft capital or just players in this trade? I think I'd be willing to explore it for sure with this, but if it doesn't get done, I'm okay taking those three goon receivers and putting Kenneth Walker and Kamara in there week 1 and just kind of playing the variance and figuring it out as the year goes on. So yeah, I think like I would be willing to explore it. I'm just not like I'm not going to get crazy about I'm not going to do something crazy to make it happen, if that makes sense. Okay, so we got Garrett Wilson or A.J. Brown in redraft this year, half PPR. Super close. Same tier, I think. There's a part of me that really wants to buy into this Garrett Wilson thing with Aaron Rodgers, but it also feels a little like, it just feels a little bit disingenuous too. I think I lean Garrett Wilson in a vacuum, but I would say it's the same exact tier. Okay, let's see what we got here. So, Dynasty Superflex. Oh, interesting. How about Dynasty Superflex instead of the redraft now? So I think in Dynasty Superflex, like it's definitely Garrett Wilson for me over AJ Brown, and it's that could definitely end up changing if AJ Brown comes out early and kind of puts a lot of the naysayers to bed, because he finished slow, but this is a guy that had six games of 125 yards in a row, whatever it was. But the age and the sex appeal of Garrett Wilson is basically like if Garrett Wilson ends up being in the top 10 type of range in points, like for the season, let's say 6 to 8 weeks, the age difference between him and AJ Brown, while it might seem kind of silly because AJ Brown can probably play realistically at a high level for at least another 3 years easily, Garrett Wilson's going to have so much more dynasty value because of the age and what he's been doing. So definitely AJ Brown for me personally. Big dog. What up, Jake? 12-man league, 25 first. So one quarterback, and Shane, I remember the question. One quarterback and Superflex for me are really wildly different in regard to first-round picks, because without the quarterbacks to kind of really shake up the market, it's like it really feels like you kind of have the haves and have-nots of draft picks. So if you have a chance to get early picks, or if these teams are going to miss the playoffs, those picks are a lot different than later picks. Because if you kind of think about Superflex, right, you put the quarterbacks into the mix that are going to go, like this year, you had 6 quarterbacks in the consideration to be first-round draft picks. Like Bo Nix and Michael Penix, a lot of drafts ended up going in round 2. But the point is, you're looking at, by adding that, you're talking about a late first and one quarterback is Adonai Mitchell or somebody possibly, which is like the 204 to 206. There's just a very big difference in that. So a lot of times I'll actually lean players over picks here. As long as you have spread it across teams that with some realistic chances to get some more lottery picks in 25, I'm good with it. But the 25 class, the depth may not be everything that you're thinking it will be. Some of the receivers really early are going to be great, at least talent-wise. And then there's a lot of running backs in this class. So if you do need running backs, that'd be something that would be pretty appealing about the class in 25. To clarify, I have Deontay Johnson. Okay, so this was the trade. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this trade was Deontay and the 25 first to go to Aiyuk. So this was a tier up move. Superflex 12 starters. I don't think I'm doing this, man, but let me just read this off. Debo, AJ Brown, Waddle, Brian Thomas, Deontay, Jermaine Burton. I'll tell you what, Alex. I always find these ones interesting with different formats. Can you give me your sleeper username? I'm gonna throw it into Warp just to make sure here, with everyone kind of watching me do it. But I'm really curious to see what Warp looks like on these receivers, and if I would be wanting to do this, because with 12, you're talking 12 starters. You're probably, the 2 quarterbacks, that's 10, tight end 9, 2 running backs, let's call it. So you're down. You still can start 7 receivers. So right now you got Debo, AJ Brown, Waddle, Brian Thomas, Deontay, and Jermaine Burton. That's only 6 receivers right there. So in this specifically, I would love to pull up the Warp and just kind of get a look at the Warp graph and see if it kind of feels more like what I'm expecting, where a lot of receivers like Deontay Johnson are far more valuable in that format than in a regular start 9 or start 10 league. And then also kind of how many wide receivers you should be looking to put in your construction. Okay. Early thoughts on the 25 class. Running back is deep. Loading up on 25 first on my running back needy teams right now. Yeah, running back is definitely deep. But at the same time, it feels like right now anyway, this is the worst time to be this is the worst time in Dynasty, at least for values, for the class to be really loaded at the position of running back, right? It's just more of a devalued position. So, like, I think this 25 class, it'll be interesting to see what the NFL actually says and where these guys go. Like, I remember the 23 class was supposed to be so damn good at running back. And I mean, you had Bijan and Gibbs, right? But then immediately after that, like, Charbonnet went in round 2. And then all these talented running backs that we thought so highly of, they started really falling down the board. So I'm curious to see, like, obviously you got Quinshon Judkins. You have so many good running backs. I'm curious to see how many of them actually go in, like, day 2, let's say. But I'm with you, though. I do think in general that the 25 class is going to be viewed kind of in that because of that, I think they're going to be easier to acquire than most. Let's see what we got here. Okay. I have 2 firsts and Terry. I'm currently favorite to win because of my receivers. Do you think Kamara and Walker are enough at the running back spot? I only have them and Montgomery on the roster. Well, I think okay, you got 2 firsts and Terry. Yeah, I think you're fine. I think what I would do is, like, scour the waiver wire and just make sure that you have enough, like, the running back position as a whole, right? There's going to be so many different injuries and starters that we think are going to be great that maybe disappoint. And guys that get hurt, and all of a sudden there's new opportunities for running backs, that are second and third on the depth chart. So what I'm doing is basically building the rest of my team, knowing how good your team is and how strong it is. Like, I'm building my bench around all the second and third string running backs that I can get on my team, that basically I think that if there's an injury to the starter, they have a very good chance to become, the 1A or the 1B in that backfield moving forward. There's a lot of guys that come to mind from last year that were really valuable that helped people win down the stretch. Ty Chandler, Samir White are 2 in particular that come to mind last year at the time of the playoffs. But there's guys that did that all around. I mean, Devin Singletary was a guy that people were kind of writing off last year in Dynasty. There's just so many of those types that are going to get an opportunity, whether it's because of poor play in front of them or an injury. So I think you're fine. You could explore it. I'm not panicked, though. Your team's too good to be, like, trying to force a move here. So I think I'm okay with it. I would just build my team around the running back position on the bench. And then, like, throughout the course of the year, as certain teams maybe are clearly starting to get out of the playoff picture, I might start really pressing, them with draft picks for, like, trading seconds and possibly a first if it's for the correct running back. But really pressing certain league mates that are going to be out of the playoff picture and trying to get points from the running back position off of them then. Let's see what we got here. All right, Standard Dynasty, start 9. My running backs are – why will this not click? There we go. Standard Dynasty, start 9. My running backs are Monty, Mixon, Robinson. I'm assuming that's Brian Robinson. And Spears. I'm pretty stocked at receiver, and I'm a contender. I also have 3 firsts in the 25 draft. Thoughts how I can upgrade? Well, I think personally, now everybody's league could be different, and every person you trade with is, different. But, like, those specific running backs, like, maybe Tajay before the Pollard signing would have been one you definitely could have probably attached a pick to, even a first, to really go up and get a high end running back. But these guys don't feel like players that people are going to, like, have enough value into that they're going to let you attach draft capital to and go get studs, like the true studs of the running back positions. So thoughts on how you can upgrade? I think if you want to go get let me just pull up Keep Trade Cut to kind of give you an idea of some of the players I'm talking about. Like, I guess if you're wanting to go get some hammer running backs to fill into this team, you're probably not going to be able to, like, do a true tier up, I would say. So if you're stocked at receiver, I mean, you could always consider the cross-positional pivot, because the receiver position right now is as valued as it's ever been, I think, in Dynasty personally. You also have those first. So, like, I think those are probably the easiest ways to upgrade your running back room is cross-positional trades from the wide receiver room that you have. For example, like, I don't know which ones you have and how many. You say you're stocked. Let's say you have 6, 7 really good receivers. Like, basically, if you trade, like, I'd be trying to trade one of your receivers that's in, like, that tier 2 or tier 3, and maybe the most valued one or most sex appeal from all those players. Like, I'm thinking of guys, like, let me just give you some names here at the wide receiver position that I'm talking about. Like a guy like Drake London right now would be a perfect person to try to cross-positionally trade into the running back, like a really dope running back if you were able to do that. I mean, I don't really love giving up on some of these guys, but like, Rome Odunze maybe would be one. Guys like George Pickens, Zay Flowers. I love these players, so I'm not saying you have to do it. But if you're currently stocked at receiver, then you don't need that much depth there. I think those are probably the type of names that I'm looking to see if I can trade into like a really high-end running back in Dynasty, if that's what you wanted to do. I just don't think these running backs are going to really be able to, like, most people don't want to feel like they're getting nickeled and dimed for their great players, so you're probably not going to be able to go, Monty in a second to get up there, or even Mixon in a second. So I think that's probably the way I would do it, Brian. One quarterback, Jordan Love, Kyron Gibbs, A.J. Brown, Aiyuk, Drake London, Aiyuk again, DJ Moore, and Njoku Ferguson. How's my team? Alexander, how many starters you got? I'm just reading this off, thinking about it. Kyron and Gibbs is a dope running back room. A.J. Brown, Aiyuk, London, DJ Moore is solid. 4 solid receivers, and Njoku Ferguson. I would say, like, if this is a lineup start, 8-9, it's solid. It's not like it's pretty damn good. It's probably not the best, but I think you're definitely in the playoff mix, and I'd say top probably 3 or 4. But I guess it depends. Like, is this a 10-team league? Is it a 12-team league? What are we looking at? Because if it's a 10-team league, I bet you a lot of teams look similar to this. Okay, so let's see here. 12-team start 10 PPR. A-Rich, Kyler, Cousins, Baker, Brees, Pacheco, Brian Robinson, ARSB, Chase, Kirk, Keenan, Deontay, McBride, 426 first. Since I have Kyler, would you tear down from A-Rich for Goff, 26 first, and Tank Dell? Okay, let's go back now. You got A-Rich, Kyler, and Cousins. So you already have 426 first. Basically, would I go from 426 to a 5th 26 first and add Tank Dell in to go from A-Rich down to Goff? All right, so you got it's a start 10 PPR league. Right now you have Amon-Ra St. Brown, Chase, that's Christian Kirk, Keenan, Deontay. I mean, like, I'm not going to lie, Tank Dell would be really dope for your receiver room. But at the same time, I don't know. I'm very bullish on A-Rich. I think Goff has a safe floor, but I don't think he realistically has like a game-breaking ceiling. So Kyler still could be your, ceiling play, with Goff being more of your floor play. You add in Tank Dell and you kind of make your, you keep stockpiling these 26 first. But here's the way I kind of think about it with that, right? The whole idea, if I'm doing the 26 first pile up, like, I eventually want to put those all together and go buy myself a stud, which I feel like you got A-Rich. Like, yes, there's some definitely some question marks. I mean, he's looked a little spotty in preseason for damn sure. He looked great at certain times, and then you're like, dude, what is this? The pick six, some of the fumbles and stuff. So I know it's not like solidified, guaranteed high-end range of outcomes, but man, A-Rich to me in this format with your team that you have, I don't know that I want to do this personally. Like, the value definitely makes sense. If you believe in Tank Dell quite a bit, I don't hate this trade. It's not a bad trade, for the record. I just feel like there's a big difference between Goff and A-Rich as far as ceiling goes. So I would say this is one that you could probably flip a coin. Like, if you like Tank Dell and you're a little worried on A-Rich, I get it. For me, I kind of want to see what the upside A-Rich possesses. That's me personally. I think you could go either way with that trade, though. Back from earlier, I've had combos about going from Baker to Dak. Could you give me a few examples of tier ups from Herbert? Okay. Yeah, I definitely can. So let me pull up that question too. Let's see, where are you? Okay, it's not you. Alex, where is your trade? Okay, here it is. This is the question from before. All right, so you got these receivers. So you're looking to tier up possibly from Herbert, was what you said here latest, right? You want to tier up from Herbert. So if you had combos from going from Baker to Dak, I mean, I like that a lot better. If you could keep Herbert and get Baker up to Dak, but I guess what's the cost there? It's probably at least a first, right? Or is it a player? Is it one of those receivers you talked about? Like, definitely give me that. But from Herbert, like, if I'm going to do the Herbert thing, though, I'm getting to the God territory quarterbacks, because Herbert's definitely, unfortunately, like, just the reality is he doesn't carry the weight he once did. I mean, it's right for that to be the case just because the situation is brand new and we don't know how long it's going to be that way. Without really any pass catching weapons to speak of that are proven, and what projects to be obviously a much lower passing volume offense. But like from Herbert, and those receivers, like, can I send you Herbert and Ladd, like the stack, and get up to like Joe Burrow types? You may have to add more than that, but like I think that would be something I would at least throw out there. Let me see some of your other receivers again. So you've got Evans, Kupp, Brian Thomas Jr. Like Brian Thomas Jr. maybe would be the one that you'd have to attach and see if that gets you anything. I don't know. It depends on probably the people that you're trading with and what they value. But what would it take for me to go from Herbert to Kyler Murray? I think would be one I'd start with. That one, I think, realistically, if you threw a Ladd and Herbert, that stack to Kyler, some people probably would just be willing to take that. Because it wasn't too long ago that Kyler had to be, tiered up to a guy like Herbert. So Herbert, I think for some people still has a lot of name cachet. And I don't want to give up Herbert light or pivot out of him just for no reason. So if you can go from Baker to Dak, I'd probably prefer that. But I think Herbert right now at least gives you a realistic jump to the elite quarterbacks without having to pay too much. And right now I just don't think Herbert has the elite ceiling in fantasy, at least for another 2 seasons minimum. So I guess like that would be what I'm thinking. Like, Brian Thomas Jr. or a Ladd plus Herbert. Can I get that to Kyler? Can I get that to A-Rich? Can I get that to Burrow? Maybe starting to feel like you need to add more. Probably someone's going to be like, nah, I'm not interested. But those are the things I'm thinking of. Now, if I have a chance, if someone will let me get from Herbert all the way up to like the true God tier quarterbacks, I'm talking Hurts, Josh Allen, Lamar, Mahomes. I mean, we could fuck around and play ball here with your team. I think I'd probably throw, Brian Thomas Jr. and one of those first round picks, if you have them, to someone like that, to go from Herbert up to those quarterbacks. Personally, that's where I'm at. Okay, so let me scroll back down to where I was. Appreciate the question though, Alex. I just traded away Josh Allen and Waddle for Dak, CeeDee, stack. So you traded Allen and Waddle for Dak and CeeDee? Damn. That's a big boy trade, Nathan. I think, I'll tell you the truth, I think there's actually more value on the Josh Allen and Waddle side. So from that standpoint, I think it's probably like a value win over there. But like if Dak and CeeDee can repeat what they did in like the last, the last 2/3 of the season, I mean, that's game-breaking fantasy upside that almost no stacks. I mean, there are other stacks that possess it, but that's one of the like most elite stacks in the game. So probably worth the overpay if they can continue that success. I guess the only thing is that obviously there's Dak just doesn't have the appeal in the market right now for whatever reason. It's because of his age, because of people probably worried about him not being a Cowboy anymore or whatever. But Josh Allen, even after losing all these receivers, just has this ridiculous market. So I think I like it, but I will say it was that was not a light cost of acquisition. To clarify, my receiver room is Diggs, Olave, Lamb, Higgins, Terry, Brian Thomas Jr. What was the question with you again? That was you're looking to with your receiver room, right? Okay, so you got Diggs, Olave, Lamb, Higgins, Terry, Brian Thomas Jr. Okay, it's damn good. Like Lamb obviously is really dope. It's damn good. It's maybe not quite as good as I thought you were saying. But yeah, can I pivot? Like you know what? Actually, this is a perfect one for me. Olave would be the big name cachet guy in this receiver room that I think realistically you can pivot into a really good running back. All right, so let's see here. We got okay. What direction are you taking this team? Hold on, Jake, I need the first question. So let me find that. Oh, did you? I don't see your question before this. Maybe I'll find it later. I'm going to be looking for your question, all right? Promise you, I got you. What's up, Adam? What's up, Alex? I feel like I have a competitive team this year, okay? I have Hurts, Brian Robinson, Stevenson, Zamir. The rest of the running backs are trash. I'm loaded with the receiver room with A.J. Brown, Olave, London, Pickens, and Dell. Yes, you are. I think you have a competitive team too. Oh, here. Do you have a second? Yeah, this is the second part of the question. W. And you got Andrews at tight end. Okay. Picks 102, 110, 202, 209, and 302. And all my 25 picks. Any advice on tiering up for running back? I've tried asking, and people in my league either don't want to trade or are stingy. Thanks, man. Yeah, I mean, listen, Alex, I think that's kind of the thing right now, right? And just think about it from the perspective of someone else or in their shoes, right? If you were somebody that was carrying the risk of the running backs all offseason, and now we're getting ready to start, playing games and scoring points, you're not looking to move off those running backs that you've had on your team, and you're kind of planning to build your team around. So, I think this is one of the things that I know we've talked about on this channel, right? And there's definitely truth to it. Like, as opposed to drafting running backs in the startup, let's say, why not just wait and trade for them later? And while there's definitely truth to that, because in the open trade market, they don't cost as much as sinking a bunch of value into them in a startup. That's definitely the case, but it's also you have to find the correct timing in the market. You have to find the correct time to go buy the running backs for those type of prices from the people in your league. So I just think right now, before week 1, it's probably harder to do so, which is why people are feeling so stingy. Because everybody's team, for the most part, is healthy, right? Primarily healthy. There's no bye weeks, so there's just not a lot of reason, and no one's lost any games yet. So there's not a lot of reason for people to panic or feel like they need to shuffle their team around. So that's kind of what you're working up against. Now, any advice on tiering up for running back, like if you're going to? Sure, let me take a look again. All right, so we got Brian Robinson, Stevenson, Zamir. Rest of running backs are trash. I mean, this is, again, I think this is similar to the other question where Brian A. was asking, and he just put in there, that was his receiver room, right? Steve, if you were trying to do this with Stevenson going into last year when his market was far different, coming off of a very good season, maybe there you could get it done. But these running backs just are not anywhere near, value-wise, probably the running backs you're trying to tier up to. So it's probably going to be hard to do like a true tier up where you're sending, Zamir White in draft capital or Stevenson in draft capital or those two guys in a player to tier up for a really good running back. I think, let me look at your picks again. I think what I'd be doing personally, it's amazing. When are you having this? I've been meaning to ask people that still have their picks. When are you having your rookie draft? Like, are you doing it right before the season starts? It's kind of crazy that you still have those picks. I think what I'd be doing though is seeing, can I add, like, what can 110 buy me? And then, just kind of sniffing around late first for the running backs currently out there. Let's see. Let me just give you an idea of some players that I'd be targeting with that 110 type. Like, I guess obviously it depends on how good you feel about some of these running backs, but like I'd fire that out there for Saquon. It probably doesn't get done, but like, can I get a Saquon Barkley? Can I get Pacheco? Like start there in that range. James Cook. You don't even necessarily have to go that way. If you think that there's a chance that it's, better. Man, you see this? This is a spider right here trying to get to my shit. If you want to do that, I guess what I would say is that, like, I would basically be trying to get the 110 or the 202 or something like that for one of those running backs. But realistically, I think it depends on your market and what you think players are going to do. Like, I'm not probably sending more than the 110 for those type of running backs. So let me know if that helps you out. I think realistically you're going to have to probably send liquid draft capital, though. I don't think you can do a true tier up. And for your wide receiver room, something similar to what I was just saying to him, actually, though. If you're able to do like a cross-positional pivot from Olave, I think he's a guy with a lot of value that you could probably you could send Olave, I think, cross-positionally for probably all the running backs that aren't named, like, Bijan, Brees, CMC, Gibbs. Yeah, I think everybody else, like you might be able to do it for Taylor or someone in that range. So that's where I think I'm starting, for the record. All right, I'm still trying to figure out how I managed to have A.J. Brown, Justin Jefferson, and CeeDee Lamb in a 12-man league. I mean, I don't know how you got it there, but I'm good with it, man. That's a great cast of freaking receivers there. So, well fucking done, buddy. I wouldn't even worry about how you got there. You got it now. And I probably am not coming off of that light because it's hard to get those three in the same league. All right, 14 team start 10 lineup, Superflex, 6-point passing touchdown, 0.2 points per carry, PPR, 1.75 tight end premium. Let's see. Where's the second part here, Jake? There we go. All right, Jake. I appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. Caleb, JJM, unfortunately. Nick's Penix. Man, you got all the rookies, huh? So did you, before the draft, did you have a zero quarterback room? That's actually pretty sweet if you did. That's low-key goated, honestly. All right, so then you had that going on there. You have Kyron, Cans, Neighbors, Rome, Dell, Ridley, Lockett, Fant, all future picks. Okay, so you got like a super, super young team here. So you're building off of – damn, chat is rocking. Not enough likes. I'm trying to figure out where the question is, I guess. Jake, okay. So, well, if you have a question on it, let me know. Or are you just wanting to get I guess when I look at your team, I don't know what your question is, but obviously you have you're coming out of like a productive struggle. It pretty much seems like. So I don't know if you had a question about like what you should be doing with your team, or just kind of like, what I think of it. I mean, I think this is a team that you're building a ton of young value on it. So like, it's okay if you just have Kyron and Cans on that type of a build, and maybe next year or the following year, you're looking at like a ridiculous team. But I don't know what your timeline is. If you're trying to win now, I think you probably got to start moving some of these picks and young players, because this team isn't going to get it done first in winning this season. I'm sure you probably know that, but if there's a better question to the squad, Jake, let me know. I got you, buddy. I promise you I got you. All right. What's the bourbon flavor tonight? Tell you the truth, man, I haven't started drinking, and I'm probably chilling tonight. Like, normally, so I was going to drink some Bakers, but my buddy T-Rock got me some Bakers at the expo. But, man, having these kids, like, I know I'm going to end up drinking, getting a nice buzz on, but then I'm going to be up all night and dealing with the fussiness, the whininess, and, like, doing that with any type of, like, buzz or hangover, just, it honestly, the juice isn't worth the squeeze. So right now, tonight I'm probably cooling. Tomorrow or Wednesday, maybe start drinking. Actually, it'll be tomorrow, because part of the reason I'm doing this on Monday as well is I'm going out to New York. I'll be in New York on Wednesday, so it'll probably be tomorrow that I start sipping a little more. Johnny Detroit, that's my guy too. What's going on, man? I'm a contender right now, and I have London and DJ Moore fighting for my flex spot. Okay, I'm trying to package them together for a stud. Who do you think I should target? I mean, if you're putting together London and DJ Moore in a trade, like is that what you're trying to do? Whew. I mean, that should, like, realistically, I'm not sending those guys away even in a shallower format for. Dude, London, like, think about London right now already is, I think, let's see, Keytrade Cut has him at wide receiver 11. Even if that you think is a little bit overpriced, I mean, I'm not sending DJ Moore and London combined away for anything less than probably Garrett Wilson, minimum. Like, nah. And honestly, I don't even know if I would do that. Maybe. That's where I'm starting, though. Something like that. I just don't know realistically if this package gets you to those guys. And if it's not those guys, I'm not packaging these guys together. Like, for example, I wouldn't do that for A.J. Brown, personally. I don't think it's necessary. I mean, some people may, but I don't think I would do that personally. So, like, Puka, there's still some risk, I think, with Puka. We haven't seen enough. There's a lot of buzz about how great Cooper Kupp looks in their offseason. We know how much him and Stafford have great rapport. So, I don't know. I think for me right now, Garrett Wilson, Marv, Chase, but, like, I don't think those guys actually get you to that tier. So, but that's what I guess that's where I'm starting, man. I'm starting at, like, Garrett Wilson territory, or someone you have in the same range as Garrett Wilson. That's what I'm asking for. Otherwise, I'd rather try a different combination. Tried asking for Pacheco, Mixon, and Kyron with no dice. I would target Henry, A-Chain, or well, you said Henry. Okay. But they are all on the defending champs team. Would you also consider taking Brooks at 102? Wait. Is this one quarterback, fam? Wait, is this one quarterback? It's got to be one quarterback. If it's one quarterback, No, honestly, no. I'm not doing that. Nah. I'm not taking Brooks ahead of those three receivers, even in one QB. I'm taking definitely Neighbors, Rome, Marv in that order, personally for me. So that's where I'm at, personally. All right. Let's see what we got here. Where are you comfortable taking McCarthy in rookie drafts now after the injury? I have a draft 14 team next week. I think in a 14 team, you still could take him pretty decently high. But, like, I guess for me, that maybe that 110 spot at the earliest. Like, if you wanted him, I think that's probably what you need to do in a 14 team. I've seen his, like, ADPs dropped in a 12 team league to pick 12. In 14 team, obviously the quarterbacks get pushed up a little bit. So you have 109 and 110. If you wanted to do it 109 or 110, maybe. I'm just trying to let me think about this too before I give you that answer officially, because let me just look at my rookie ranks. Yeah, I think okay, I'll just walk through it with you with my rookies. So I got Caleb ahead, Marv ahead, Daniels ahead, Neighbors, that's 4, Bowers 5, Rome 6. Excuse me. I would take Brian Thomas out ahead 7. Definitely would take May 8. Knicks would be 9. And then I think for me, like, it's a conversation of basically where do you have McCarthy in the Knicks and Penix conversation, right? I think there's a case to be made that Penix is every bit as valuable as JJ possibly now. They're both going to sit at least a year. What's McCarthy going to give you next year coming off the injury? Even if Penix ended up sitting 2 years, it's probably not going to be much more than 2. But yeah, if you wanted to take him, if you really wanted to lock him in, I think like the 110 spot would be based on these picks where I would be doing it. Now, I don't know if you were able to, like, let's say you passed on him and he's sitting there at like 112, 113. You want to try to trade that 206 plus something to go get him. I don't hate that at all. In 14 team, it's a lot different because of the scarcity of quarterback. I'd be much more willing to sit on a guy like McCarthy for a year as well. 16 team, 1 quarterback. Okay, start 7. Do I try and move Neighbors and May for Marv? So 16 team, 1 quarterback is interesting because it's like it's just enough teams to where there's not like true scarcity, but it's a lot harder to put together a quarterback room. Basically, if everybody has 2, like 1 starter, 1 backup, you take all the starters out. So you got Lawrence at quarterback, May's your backup. That makes sense. So basically, should you trade May and Neighbors for Marv? In a start 7 league, 1 quarterback start 7. Yeah, I would do it. Yeah, I would do that. I think I would. Just because T-Law is already pretty solid. Like, realistically, even let's say May ends up getting, the reins and solid enough, you're probably just having a decision between him and T-Law every week. So, yeah, I'd be fine with it. I'm just looking at your team, though, from the receiver standpoint. So let's say you do that. Now it's Nico, Marv. Then you're still going to be starting weekly, even in a start 7, probably Odunze, if not Brian Thomas Jr. Like, you're probably still starting at least 3 of these receivers. So I still just don't know if that makes you how much of a win that is for you this season. But I think I would be doing it, yeah. Marv's one of these guys in this format. It's probably really hard to get him. Okay. That's Alexander's format. Let's see what we got here. I have Wilson, Pittman, and Pickens. I've tried trading Pickens in 2 firsts for Lamb. Yeah, that's probably not going to get it done, family. I've been trying to trade for CeeDee in a few leagues, and like one time I offered Aiyuk in 2 firsts because of the uncertainty, and then he was like thinking about it. I actually pulled that offer, but like even that wasn't getting done. So it's got to be more than Pickens in 2 firsts. Should you offer more? Well, I mean, if you want to get him, you have to offer more. But Alex, I mean, do you actually have? I think one of the things here is you have to have the luxury to be able to do this. Most teams don't. So when I say that, like, you got Wilson, Pittman, and Pickens, like, if that's your really good receiving room, like you're already only got. Let's say you even got this Pickens deal done, which you're not going to get. CeeDee Lamb, Wilson, Pittman, that's only 3 receivers. So, like, I just don't know. Do you have the depth and other draft picks, like, at your disposal to really afford this? Because now, just think of CeeDee, Wilson, and Pittman, right? So let's say, unfortunately, Garrett Wilson hasn't done shit the last 2 years. If something happened to either him in an injury or A-Rod in an injury, You're down to just Pittman and Lamb. There's just a lot of risk, I think. Well, I love, obviously, CeeDee well ahead of Pickens. Can you really afford to pay more is really the question for me. And most people, I think, should be answering no to that question. I'm not saying you specifically do, but I think most people don't actually have that. A lot of one quarterback tonight. All right. One quarterback, 10-team start 8. So super shallow. Hurts, Bijan, A-Chain, CeeDee, A.J. Brown, Tyreek, Garrett Wilson, Puka, Kincaid. Push heavy for hammers this offseason in Dynasty. Daddy rates it as a super team. It's a homely, by the way. It sounds like a homely, and I get it. Just when you look at that, right? Hurts, absolute hammer. Like Bijan it should damn near be breaking fantasy football this year with the correct usage. A-Chain, it's a matter of can he stay healthy and for how long. But then you got CeeDee, A.J. Brown, Tyreek, Garrett Wilson. That team's a cheat code, man. So, and especially in that format, it's all about like having those elite players to distinguish yourself from all the other teams that are going to be pretty darn good on their own merit. So that's I guess that's just a flex, and that is one hell of a flex. 10-team, one quarterback as well. Full PPR, Kyler, CMC, Kyron, Marv, Adams, Mark Andrews, Gibbs, Nico, and Rashi on the bench. Hype me up. I mean, this team isn't quite what was just flexed, but this is Angel, that's a hell of a squad too. I'll hype it up as well. All right, so you traded away Mark Andrews for Corum and a second. I'm a contender now, and my starting tight end is Goddard. Was it worth it? Whew, Lucas, this is tough, man. Like I'll tell you right now, I'm on the tight ends don't matter train of pushing that agenda pretty heavily. But man, Corum in a second feels light. I guess I don't know the format. And like, what's the tight end premium in this league? Like, I'll say Andrews typically is one of the tight ends that I actually have more exposure to, and I'm trying to buy because he doesn't cost what the Lepore does and the Kincaids, sometimes even the Pitts cost, the Kelseys. So, I mean, Goddard to me is also a pretty big fall off from Andrews. If this is like no tight end premium and you're able to actually move Corum in that second for something, maybe. I think this one might have been one I would wanted to have held on to Mark Andrews. Sorry for can't get my words straight here. But let me know some of the other details and I'll let you know. But I think I'm leaning Mark Andrews there. 12-team Dynasty Superflex, 6-point passing touchdown. Just traded away Allen and Waddle for Dax CeeDee stack. Okay. Oh, I think you already put that in here. Also, Allen was my only quarterback, but I sort of have a deep wide receiver room. A.J. Brown, Pickens, McLaurin. The receiver room's solid. I wouldn't say it's crazy deep. But no, actually, I'm sorry. You have CeeDee, A.J. Brown, Pickens, McLaurin. It's a pretty good one still. Again, I think this is one where the value probably leans on the Waddle side, but I definitely get acquiring the stack for that here. I think this is one of the rare occasions I would be okay with doing that. Okay, also back. Sleeper username is Alex Pendley. All right, yeah, I had the warp ready to go, so let's do this one. This is the type of shit that's pretty fun for me to take a look at. So, Alex Pendley. I'm going to pull up the warp on this league. It may take a second to run it. Let me see if I can find what team this is for you. Ooh, you're only in 2 leagues, so hopefully it's the Dynasty League. I'm going to run the warp on that. And then let me see if I got to go back. I'm going to go back real quick, Alex, and pin or star your question. It was Aiyuk in the first, right? In the 12-team league. Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. And then I'm going to go into the lab as well and just pull up your team so that I can be ready to go when this is there, when the warp is run. Then I'll get right back to the questions. Alex Pendley. Pretty easy for your username. All right. Let's go back to some other questions. I'm going to answer a few more here. I've been going an hour, but listen, while I may schedule an hour, I'm going to, I like to kick it with y'all, man. So I'm gonna keep going for a little longer here, maybe 10:45, 10:50. We'll call it. Okay. So Alex, your team in the lab is definitely real nice. It's got you right in that third, fourth mix. I think you might even said that. Looking at the squad here, let's see what Warp has to say. Okay. So yeah, Warp, dude. So Warp in this league. The wide receiver position. So just for an example, right? in multi-year. So this was running warp in this league from 2019 to 2023. It's just running the years and the settings for this league in that. There are 35 receivers that are over 1 warp, which realistically, like a 1 in warp is really good. And also the wide receiver position by a country mile, and as you would make sense in a start 12, really highly valuable. So, man, I'm going to also take a look at single year data just to see like what Aiyuk was like last year in this format. Man, I don't think I'm doing that trade, frankly. So Aiyuk was 1.9. He was wide receiver 11 last year. But like just the difference between him and a guy like last year, Terry McLaurin, right? I'm just looking at in the range where I think maybe Deontay realistically has a chance to finish. So Terry McLaurin is wide receiver 25. Like Chris Godwin, who felt pretty meh last year, wide receiver 30, 1.448 in warp. Nah, I'm holding there, man. You have to start too many players. The receivers here are clearly too valuable. Even last year, Deontay Johnson was wide receiver 37 in warp for the season, 1.072. So you attach that plus a first when you got to start 12. Stay your side, man. This is one of those formats where when you're starting 12, especially when bye weeks come and people get hurt, you're going to want all the fucking depth you can have, man. So I'm staying on your side in this one, Alex. For example, though, if this was probably like a start 9, I'd be very into going ahead and trying to tier up to Aiyuk as long as my first didn't project to be early guaranteed. All right. Let's answer a few more here, and we'll bounce up out of here. Let's get back to where I was. Okay. No, I think we got this one, right? Yeah, you're not getting anywhere. We did answer this one. Oh, yeah. Okay, I figured out where we were. Alex's comment. So, okay, Dynasty Alex, my guy. What's up, man? Herbert, B-Rob, Downs, or Burrows, Corum, 12-team, PPR, Superflex, 6-point passing touchdown. Fresh out of the startup. Other key pieces are A-Rich, London, Collins, Pitts. You like getting out of Herbert? So Herbert to Burrow, B-Rob to Corum. You're kind of cutting Downs out of your squad. What's the I got the settings, but how many starters? Oh, here we go. Wait, what's this? Other context is I have the Burrows managers first. Altogether, I have 3 first for 25. I think in most formats, I'm probably doing this. It feels if that's Brian Robinson, not Bijan. B-Rob, don't disrespect Bijan with B-Rob. So as long as that's Brian Robinson, yeah, I'm with you. I'll take the Burrow side here. Like Brian Robinson and Downs for Corum, obviously light, but the difference between Herbert and Burrow, well worth it in my opinion. All right, would you go Ladd for Jonathan Brooks 1-for-1 if lacking running back? Personally, I wouldn't. Now, the reason I say that is like the timing of this, right? If you want to build your running back room, Jonathan Brooks to me is not a play that helps you for a while. Like I don't even know when he gets back this year, how much usage and work he's going to get, and if he's going to actually be very meaningful for you in Dynasty this season for scoring points. So like by next year, maybe. But then during this entire season, like what if Ladd's actually pretty good, has some pop weeks, and you could have probably traded Ladd for something different. So like in a vacuum, I think I probably lean Ladd over Brooks, but like if I'm lacking running back, I think just Brooks is not my target if I'm trying to score points this season. If you're talking long-term play, they're probably realistically in the same tier. So if you're kind of doing it knowing this is not going to be a play or a guy that's going to be that talent isn't going to flourish until 2025, I'm fine with that too. But for me, if I'm looking for a different target for running back this season. Of course, Jake. Got you, buddy. Okay, Contender with Laporta and Kelsey, 12-team, Superflex PPR Dynasty, half-point, tight end premium league. Got it. Considering offering Kelsey, Najee, Aaron Jones, and Sutton for Freiermuth, Pacheco, Ridley, 3rd and 4th, would you do it? I'm just trying to think about this here. I guess why Kelsey? Like I know obviously you'd rather hold on to Laporta. There's more, There's plenty more years with Laporta. I guess my thing with Laporta is, do we know that he's going to be the tight end one for the future? Like, is he always going to score in that top 3 to, is he going to be a top 3, 4 tight end year in and year out? And then realistically, what is that going to offer relative to the pack? I just don't know that that's going to be the new current version of that. May not be as meaningful as Kelsey was in the past. To that point as well, Kelsey right now just doesn't. Kelsey's one of these guys that if I have him on a contender, okay, I'm just riding him off into the sunset because he's never going to be worth anywhere near in dynasty value what he's worth in production, like, ever. He's just not going to be for the most part. So, just in general, I'm not like the biggest fan of moving off of Kelsey if it's for probably anywhere near what market reflects of him. So considering offering, though, Kelsey, Najee, Jones, and Sutton, like, I see the big upgrade, I guess, would be from Najee and Jones to Pacheco. And I do like Ridley quite a bit over Sutton. The 3rd and the 4th just don't mean that much, realistically. I'm fine with getting them. But, like, here's my thing. Kelsey versus Freiermuth, and it's, like, obviously tight end premium isn't that big of a deal here. I guess the way I look at it is in this type of a format, right? Can I get away with keeping Kelsey and just seeing what he's going to be for the next year or two? And trade Laporta for something, like, ridiculous. Like, Laporta's value in this type of a format is crazy. I think there's more to be extracted by trading away Laporta and keeping Kelsey, seeing if you can patchwork together tight end at a pretty damn good rate, possibly for another year or two, and then figuring out what you want to do post Kelsey while you can trade Laporta for probably straight up like a Pacheco, or probably even you can do better than that, honestly. You definitely can. You can trade for Pacheco and something by getting rid of Laporta. So I think that's what I would prefer to do if I'm being honest with you. Now, as far as this offer goes, I'm fine with it. I think it's solid. But I will say that the drop off from Muth to Kelsey is still pretty real. Yeah, I mean, that's fine either way. Like, I mean, I lean in Njoku over Freiermuth, I would say. So I'd probably rather do that than the 3rd and the 4th. I'm just personally of the mindset that if you're gonna trade one of those two guys in that type of a format, because tight end doesn't matter as much to me, I think Laporta is gonna net you a lot more in the trade. So let me know what your thoughts are on that. But if you wanted to do that, I'm okay with it. I feel like you're leaving meat on the bone by keeping Laporta personally, but that's just my opinion. Hot take. I mean, I did a whole damn video on it. It probably is a hot take. I don't think it's that hot takey though. Cousins has to play well enough to where there's not like a bunch of heat on him and people clamoring to like put Penix in because they're not, locked to win the division or make the playoffs or whatever. And he also has to stay healthy. He's a guy that's getting older. He's kind of a statue in the pocket. Are they going to be able to keep him upright, keep him clean? He's been pretty healthy. He's kind of like a guy that's not. He'll play through nagging injuries, but he's getting older, and 1 or 2 wrong shots, unfortunately, if he gets hurt. Kind of basically, if the door opens for Penix at all, there's a chance that Penix takes the job and runs with it. So I don't think it's that hot takey personally. All right, Mahomes, Najee, Tajay. Najee and Tajay. Interesting. Rhyming out here. Garrett Wilson, Puka, Rashi, Rice, Ferguson, Shakir, Hubbard, Baker, Nix. Should I push for an elite running back to go all in? I have all my picks. Man, it's funny. I feel like that video I just did is so real right now because everybody's like, can I go buy these running backs? Can I upgrade these running backs? And like I put that video out there kind of saying like you don't have to spend your picks right now, but I just know it's just what everybody wants to do. It's just human nature. So I get it. It's just funny that a lot of these questions are like, should I upgrade running back? Now everybody's ready to upgrade running back. So like when I look at your receiving room, right? Like Garrett Wilson, Puka, Rashi, solid. Like it's solid, but it's not holy shit, right? Is this super flex? Because I mean, even still, Mahomes and Baker with Nix as quarterback 3 is pretty damn good. I think your team's solid. I think your team is very solid. It's probably in the playoff mix, but I don't think it's worth getting over your skis to acquire, like, let's call it, I don't know, a guy like Kyron or a guy like, who else? Travis Etienne, whatever. And I don't know that doing that's going to make this team locked and loaded. I mean, if you have a chance to go get a Gibbs, a Bijan, a Brees, maybe, but that's also going to cost you an arm and a leg. So I feel like I'm going to tell you the not fun thing is I'm going to let a little more play out before I'm reaching to do that, man. Personally, that's just my opinion. I know it's not as fun. It sounds boring, but it's just the way I play. Thoughts on Chase contract? I'm kind of win now, but Chase not playing is scary to me. I got Worthy to back up, but Nick doesn't believe in him. Well, Nick also at this point is leaning into it. I know he believes in it. He's not just saying that, but he's definitely like sticking to his guns on it, and it'll be interesting to see what happens. I think Worthy, I'm fine with as especially like your backup option plan B type thing here. I'm not worried about it long term, and I'm not going to panic realistically for Chase. I think it's something that's going to get done. I think this only helps kind of solidify what the market is, and that the Bengals are going to have to pay him something in this range, right? So I'm not tripping about the Chase thing personally. I'm just not. I think he's one of the two pieces that the Bengals, no matter how bad the situation is financially, how much money they can't afford to, just pay out of the pocketbook, they're going to get it done. They're not going to. I personally don't think, as much as I don't like them and think they're not the best run organization, that they're going to fuck this one up. All right, I'm gonna get 3 more in here. All right, Superflex 10 team. Which side wins? AJ Brown plus a second for T Higgins, Chase, Brown, Brian Thomas third. In a 10-team league, I want AJ Brown in the second because it's all about hammers in the 10-team leagues. AJ Brown's quite a bit ahead of T, and I like Brian Thomas Jr., but again, like what he's going to have to do to get closer to that, top 12 type, like positional difference maker that AJ Brown is, I'll take AJ Brown. And then somehow you get the second round pick on top of all of it. Like I'm definitely taking AJ Brown in a 10-team league there. Let's see here. Okay. What we got here? Okay. Here we go. Here's a question. Gentry, what's up, man? How big of a difference is there between Caleb and Herbert? Sent Caleb for Herbert. Higgins, 25 first, 26. My gosh. I don't know if it's that much, my friend. That was a so wait a minute here. You sent Caleb. So but like that offer come to you, or did this actually get done? And it's a 10-team start 9, so I get it. Like Herbert's going to be more in the replaceable level, but that's kind of crazy. Although in a 10-team, like I don't know, Higgins is probably not a difference maker if that's that person's first and their team's really well built. They're later first, but that is a lot of value. I'm with you. I think even in a 10-team league, it would be probably hard to pass that up. Did that offer just come into you? I was going to say in the 12-team league, that would be crazy to just go ask of somebody. But sometimes offers are sitting in your inbox. You just can't pass them up. Let's see. Anytime, man. Anytime. Appreciate all you guys tapping in with me. Appreciate all you guys asking questions, being engaged, and wanting to go win in Dynasty, man. I'm giving you my advice. I'm giving you my personal feedback on it. Happy to do so. And I'm going to be doing this every week. Let me know what you guys think. If you have something else you want me to talk about, like a specific thing for a video moving forward, any of that, just let me know. What's good, Chase? Chase is in the building, man. How'd your draft go? Did you had it at 8:30 tonight, right? Did you finish it? Would you trade Laporta, Penix, Cousins for Josh Allen and Chig? Yeah, so he already knows. I gave him a team review and got him kind of working on something. So did it get done? Let me know if it got done. Otherwise, you know what the answer is. Yes, I like it, and get it done. Stop asking. All right. Let's go one last question here. Bears fan inbox offer. I accepted, obviously. Man, the Caleb offers are crazy. So in one league I'm in, it's more of like a home league. It's not like my friends, but it's like their home league that I'm in. I mean, they're my friends, but they're not like my boys from like what I would say my home league is. I feel like I'm in someone else's home league, but I love being in that league. And it's a lineup start. It's a 12-team lineup start 9. Caleb Williams just got traded last night for, what was it? 3 firsts, 2 27 firsts, which honestly both of them are like teams that are not the most well constructed, and then a 25 first from this team that's rebuilding, but he's a Bears fan, so he sent that away to acquire Caleb as well as DK Metcalf. So it's basically an early 25, I would say mid to early 27s, and DK for Caleb. And the guy that traded away Caleb has a quarterback hoard going. So for y'all that say quarterback hoarding doesn't work, R-I-fucking-P. All right, let me get one last question for you guys, and then I'm going to bounce, all right? I'm looking for one here, but I don't see. Oh, here we got one. All right. I took an orphan team. What's up, Chadwicks? Took an orphan team, managed to get Garrett Wilson, drafted Puka. I got Goff, Minshew, Daniel Jones at quarterback. So you definitely need a boost at the superflex spot. Running back, only real option is forward with some hopefully rookies. Is the best play patient or make moves? Well, I mean, I think in general the answer to that is kind of both. Like, I think patience is a important thing to like practice in Dynasty. When you get too reactionary and just wanting to make moves right now and just force something, a lot of times that can go wrong. That being said, though, like while I'm being patient, like there's going to be moves, especially once the season gets going. You'll start to remember, if you're in someone that's played in a lot of leagues or in the past, the trades will start happening like crazy after week 1, week 2, week 3. People feel like after 2 to 3 weeks, they know what the entire season's going to look like, and they start making a ton of trades. So I'm being patient right now. I'm not going to like do something out of pocket to get a deal done. I think realistically, patience with this team, as far as like you're probably not going to be in a position to win this year. So patience there, making moves overall throughout the entire season to get yourself closer to contending down the road. You're probably not going to compete this year. You never know. I'm not saying you have to punt and like make yourself out of contention right now, but I just would be kind of the mindset that this year I would like to try to contend. We'll see if some things break my way, but it's probably not going to be that way. And just when you take over an orphan team, a lot of times I would say the large majority of orphan teams are not the teams that are in the best position. I ended up having to try to cut back some of my leagues. I think some of the teams that I ended up giving away, they weren't in the best position, but they weren't in a terrible position. I think some teams I gave away were like intentionally not shitty. They're actually better than average orphan teams. But for the most part, people that give away an orphan team, they just they don't want to clean up the mess that they've made. So I think in what you're telling me about this team, you're probably going to need to practice patience, probably try to work on getting yourself dynasty value and build for the 2025 season. That'd be my personal recommendation to you guys. Everybody, appreciate y'all, man. Chase, I hope your draft went well. Everybody here, appreciate you guys tapping in. I'll be with you guys next week as well, which is the last week until basically actually starting next week. So that Thursday will be when the game is, first week of the NFL season. From that point forward, I'll be doing these probably on Tuesdays. Let me know down in the comments if Tuesdays work for you and if you prefer the afternoon or the evening time. Try to work around what you guys prefer, but try to get more into consistent flow, doing them at the same time on the same date. But other than that, I'll see you back here, same time, same place next week somewhere until we get into more of a rhythm on this. I'm out of here. Peace.